Yeah.
That's my theory.
And it never fits quite right.
Never fits quite right. Just not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This was a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has a kind of their patented thing, a kickoff. So when you get old, it doesn't hurt your shoulder as much.
Minnesota, America. Welcome to Just Another Black Conservative. As always, glad to have you here. Well, we've been trying to find out what's the problem in Minnesota. What's been happening? Whose fault is it? Well, Tim Walz has given us the answer. The fault of the fraud that's running rampant in Minnesota is, of course, Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's fault. Not Tim Walz's fault. Not the Somalians' fault. Not the state representatives of Minnesota's fault. Not the agencies that run these programs' fault. Nope. That's not it. It is, of course, Donald Trump. Let's get into this video so he can tell us exactly whose fault it is.
Years, an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of this state's generosity. And even as we make progress in the fight against the fraudsters, we now see an organized group of political actors seeking to take advantage of a crisis. I don't want to...
Hold up, I have to make a comment here. He says that there's organized criminals who have been taking advantage of Minnesota's niceness. They've been taking advantage of it for years, committing these fraudulent acts. So he's been in office, I think, 7 years. What has he done to stop the fraud? Well, he says he initiated investigations, but as far as I know, the investigation into the original thing that popped off in Minnesota was the IRS. Had nothing to do with Tim Walz. Of course, after the IRS kicked in, then they kicked in. And then there was numerous news reports about these daycares in Minnesota not doing what they were supposed to be doing. Why, if you knew there was fraud going on with the daycares in Minnesota, didn't you stop the payments of these places until you figured out exactly what was going on? No, they allowed the funds to flow instead of stopping them. Let's let him continue.
Words here. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and in St. Paul and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place. They want to poison our people against each other by attacking our neighbors. And ultimately, they want to take away much of what makes Minnesota the best place in the country to raise a family. They've already begun trying to withhold funds that were meant to help families.
Okay, granted, Minnesota has been featured a lot in being the best place to be. However, that doesn't mean that your programs need to be fraudulent. I think the state of Minnesota should have been way more vigilant in cracking down on these businesses that were running rampant through that state and specifically through the city of Minneapolis. And there's other cities, St. Cloud, St. Paul, Rochester. I mean, the list goes on where these businesses were set up. I mean, common sense would tell you if you had 3 of the same businesses in the same spot with different names calling themselves childcare centers, and they were supposed to have, okay, let's say one had 50 children, one was supposed to have 70 children, and one was supposed to have another 50. I mean, how many children is that supposed to be in one spot? Common damn sense.
Or child care. And they have no intention of stopping there. Make no mistake, we should be concerned about fraud in our state government. We cannot effectively deliver programs and services if we can't earn the public's trust. That's why over the past few years, we've made systemic changes in the way we do business. We've gone to the legislature time and time again to get more tools to combat fraud. We've hired people we fired people who weren't doing their jobs. We've seen people go to jail for stealing from our state. We've cut off whole streams of funding in partnership with the federal government, where we saw widespread criminal activity. We've put new locks on the doors of our remaining programs, and we've hired a new head of program integrity to make sure.
Okay, if they put locks on these businesses, why was the money still flowing? I mean, do you believe any of this guy is saying? Drop in the comments if you believe what he's saying. And if you, this is the reason why fraud's going to continue in the U.S. Because most of the people who live in the U.S. are apathetic about these things. They don't pay attention, especially when it comes to politics. Because, you know, the truth of the matter is a lot of us are working and doing our jobs and dealing with our own families that we don't have time to follow behind them. But you know what? It is our responsibility to police our governments, our local governments, and our federal governments. Most people are more interested in what the federal government is doing. However, your local government has more impact on you than the federal government when you think about it. And if you're not watching your local mayors, your local representatives, your local governor, you're letting a lot of things slide.
Sure that those locks can't be broken. All across this state, Minnesotans are hard at work on this problem. Advocates, administrators, investigators are on the front lines defending the integrity of our state's programs. And I want to give a very heartfelt thank you to all of them. There is more to do. A single taxpayer dollar wasted on fraud should be intolerable. And while there's a role to play for everyone, from the legislature to prosecutors, to insurance companies, to local and county government, the buck does stop with me. My administration has been taking fast, decisive action to solve this crisis. We'll win the fight against the fraudsters. But the political gamesmanship we're seeing from Republicans is only making that fight harder.
Republicans' fault.
We've got Republicans here in the state legislature playing hide and seek with potential whistleblowers. We've got conspiracy theorist right-wing YouTubers breaking into our
Nick Shirley
daycares, demanding access to.
Wait, Nick Shirley did not break into a daycare. If you watch the video, the 42-minute video, he knocked on the doors and he asked it for entry. And if he didn't get entry, he actually asked for brochures, business cards, information about the daycare. I did not see him one time break into a daycare center. So I don't know what he's saying. And then I think, yeah, I don't know what he means by that.
Our children. We've got the President of the United States demonizing our Somali neighbors and wrongfully confiscating funds that Minnesotans rely on. It's disgusting and it's dangerous. Republicans are playing politics with the future of this state. It's shameful. And I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. We welcome ideas from anyone, in any party, from any walk of life, who wants to help us continue to stay ahead of these criminals. And we welcome the involvement of the federal government. I am grateful to the career professionals at the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI.
According to Republican members of the state Senate of Minnesota, he was not receptive to them trying to help him solve the fraud problem. So I don't know who's lying. Of course, it won't come out until investigation is done.
Guy who have been helping us fight this fight for years. But I cannot abide the actions of the political leadership in Washington. These opportunists are willing to hurt our people to score cheap points. They and their allies have no intention of helping us solve this problem, and every intention of trying to profit off of it. Which brings me to this. 2026 is an election year. Election years have a way of ramping up the politics at a time when we simply can't afford more of that in Minnesota. In September, I announced that I would seek a historic third term as Minnesota's governor, and I have every confidence that if I gave it my all, we would win the race. But as I reflect on this moment with my family and my team over the holidays, I came to the conclusion that I can't give a political campaign my all. Every minute that I spend...
He said that if he were going to run, he would win. He has no doubt that he would win. Yet he's going to step aside. Why is he stepping aside? He's stepping aside because the heat is super hot. And someone told him, probably in the Democratic Party, told him that you need to stand down and take the bullet. We need you to stand down, take the bullet, so maybe some of the heat will get off of us and the Democratic Party will survive in Minnesota. Although I don't think the Minnesotans, it's a pretty blue state, so I don't know, but it's interesting. Actually, the state of Minnesota isn't really that blue. It's the same thing that happens in many states. The population hubs, Minneapolis and St. Paul, where the majority of the people live, is blue. But the rest of the state, not so much. This happens a lot in a lot of the states that we have in our republic. It's a shame, but it's kind of what happens when you get the population hubs that become very blue. It's very hard to win that state because, of course, that's where the largest population is.
And defending my own political interest would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who want to prey on our differences. So I've decided to step out of this race, and I'll let others worry about the election while I focus on the work that's in front of me for the next year.
He's not going to do any work in the next year. I'd like to see it. Actually, we need to pay attention to Minnesota and see exactly what he does.
Passing on this race with zero sadness and zero regret. I did not run for this job to have the job. I ran for the job to do the job. Minnesota faces enormous challenges this year, and I refuse to spend a single minute doing anything other than rising to meet this moment. Minnesota has always come first and always will. That's what I believe servant leadership demands of me. As an optimist, I'll hold out some hope that my friends on the other side of the aisle will consider what servant leadership demands of them in the moment. We can work together to combat against the criminals. We can work together to rebuild the public's trust and make our state stronger. But make no mistake about it, if Republicans continue down the path of abusing power, smearing entire communities,
not my fault, Republicans' fault,
and running their own fraudulent game at the expense of Minnesotans, I will fight back with everything that I have.
Ooh, he's going to fight back, just like he did with that shotgun. Did you watch that clip before this one? Yeah, Minnesota, you knew you were in trouble, but you still voted for this guy. And you probably would have voted for him again if all this stuff hadn't come out.
I am absolutely confident a Democratic and a DFLer will hold this seat come November. I'm confident that I'll find ways to contribute to the state that I love long after next January. But there'll be time to worry about all that later. Today, I'm proud of the work we've done to make Minnesota America's best place to live and raise kids. From our new paid leave policy to our child tax credit to our school lunch programs feeding every single child. And I'm doubly proud of the incredible team we put together to make this vision a reality. I want to take a moment to thank every member of my staff, to every single state employee who has been part of this fight. Now more than ever, I need you on the job. I need you to help work together to tackle the important work in front of us. And most of all, I want Minnesotans to know how grateful I am for the opportunity to serve this state, for the privilege that I have been given to serve in this office. I'm on the job. I'm focused on making sure that we stay America's best place to live and raise kids. No one will take that away from us. I'm proud of the way we treat our neighbors. I'm proud of the way that we welcome people to this state. I'm proud of the way that we innovate. And I'm proud of the way that we are optimists for the future. No one's taking this away from us. Not the fraudsters. Certainly not this president. Not on my watch. Tomorrow, I'll be back with you. I'll give you an update on America's best paid family medical leave program that is now a week into it. And at that time, I'll take all your questions. Thank you.
So basically, he said we had been doing investigations for several years into the fraud within our state. But we didn't stomp out all the fraud because, well, we just didn't do it. And in summary, it's not my fault. It's the Republicans' fault. It's Trump's fault. It's everybody's fault but my fault, and everybody's fault except for the people that were committing the fraud's fault. I don't know, Minnesota. What are you gonna do? Again, thanks for hanging out and watching this video with me, and I hope to see you on the next one.